Kids Playground.
Hooray!
This is the Deron Harris Podcast. Here's your host, Deron Harris.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you joining me. I'm Deron Harris, and this is my podcast. Check it out. This week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help men create practical habits for emotional self-care, and I'm going to show them how to build supportive relationships that fight isolation. You know what I mean? So, because we like to isolate ourselves when we get in these funks. I know I do, and I know there are some men out there that. So that's what I'm doing this week. So think of this as like a toolkit for lasting mental health, like upkeep beyond the end of Men's Mental Health Month. Okay. So that's what I'm doing this week. And this is the end of Men's Mental Health Month, but it does not have to be. It's not the end for me. I don't get to just hang up the things that are that I suffer from at the end of this month. You know, so for me, I have to continue to find ways to keep myself from falling into these states. Now, make sure that I'm, up on my meds or whatever it is, whatever I got to do. If I got to go out and work out, if I got to change something that I'm eating, whatever it may be. My wife plays a really big part in that. She, I talked about caregivers last week. She plays a huge part in helping me maintain my mental stability throughout the course of the year and years. So this episode is about helping men, that suffer from disorders like myself. This episode is for you guys, and to help you build that support group. Because we all need it. We like to pretend like we're these tough guys, and we're really not, man. A lot of guys aren't. A lot of these alpha males, they talk. It's so crazy, man. We're gonna get into all that in this episode. But how are you feeling, man? How are you guys doing? How is especially with things in, that's going on. Are you guys, feeling a little anxiety because you're watching the news? Are you feeling like, a little, crunch time because the economy's not booming like we expected it to be? And, I knew it wasn't going to be. But other people, that's another podcast. But how are you feeling? Are you on edge because you're seeing a lot of hate and vitriol on social media? How are you feeling? Are you suffering from some anxiety? Do you not want to, get out and do things? I know how it is. I know exactly how it is because I've been going through a lot of that lately myself. I suffer from insomnia. I don't sleep. I'll go to bed I go to bed every night with my wife, but I get up in the middle of the night and I'm up a lot of the night. I'm in and out of bed, and I'm not sure if she can feel me jumping in and out of bed, but I'm in and out of bed. I'm up. I'm drinking bottles of water. I'm standing out here in the front yard or the backyard, but I'm out here. I'm contemplating, and my mind is racing, and I can't do anything about it. But there are things I can do about it. And this episode, I'll tell you what I do about it. So, welcome back. We're going to talk about Men's Mental Health Month. And in this series, we've talked about stress. We've talked about trauma. We've talked about resilience. A lot of tough stuff that men, we just decide that we're going to carry that shit by ourselves. So today, we're going to give some, I guess, tools, to kind of like a utility belt. We're going to create a daily mental health check-in ritual for yourself, man. It's going to be great, man. I'm telling you. Y'all tune in. It's going to be a good episode. We're going to break through isolation. We're going to build real support networks around us. There's a lot of things that this podcast is going to it's going to definitely be a good one if you want to get some headway, or you want to try to make some headway as far as how to cope and deal with mental distress. So I'm going to take a quick fast break, and when I come back, I'm going to jump right on into it. This is the Deron Harris Podcast. I'll be right back.
The
Podcast Playground. Hooray!
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
Hey, y'all, what's good? Welcome back to the show. All right, so we jumping right into it. The first part of, I guess, the little utility belt or toolkit, if you want to call it that, is I do this myself, and this is one of the things that I use to help me get through. I have what's called, I do a daily mental health check-in. Now, if you listen to my podcast, if you like, I do every podcast, I do a mental health check for, people who are listening to my podcast right up front. How's your mental health this week? And that's very, very important to me. And that's part of my ritualistic. I've made it a ritual, and anything that you do more than 20 days in a row becomes a habit. So I do this all the time. So I check myself daily, mental check. I like simple shit. 2 to 5 minutes, things that will just turn my emotions around, or if I feel myself slipping into that depressive state, I could just reach down in this bag and start. I start with it. I open my eye, okay, whatever it is, I start with the checklist. All right, this morning I woke up. What's going on with me? The diagnostic every morning is important. It's not just important. In my life, it's become imperative. It has to happen. It's got to happen because it guides me throughout the rest of my day. And if I have a good day and I can put days together, then I can have a good week. And if I can have a good week and put weeks together, man, I might be able to have a fucking good month. Are you kidding me? And suddenly it's not so remote of an idea to actually have a normal time, just start feeling normal, even though there are these things, there are these triggers, there are these symptoms that will arise because of what I suffer from. They come back, but it's how I deal with them that makes me able to go into this battle better prepared and really kind of willing, so that I can learn more. So I can learn more about myself, so I can become stronger, and I can test myself, and I can make sure that what I'm going through, I can manhandle it myself. But in the event that I can't, I do have these support groups. I have people in place. I have a therapist. There are just many different things that I have that I can lean on when I'm having instances where I can't cope on my own, or I can't get by these things, or I do have those moments of downright just crippling anxiety, or whatever it may be. And those, I'm not. Make no mistake about it. I'm no pussy. I'm not a bitch. But anxiety is one of those things that it could be from anything. I'll give you an example of anxiety right now that everybody thinks that you're a tough motherfucker. You tough. Hold your hand out. Think about a spider that big, and how it would be if you didn't know it was in your house, and it was in your house somewhere. And it's lurking, and it's not a dormant spider. It's not just going to make a web and chill. It's looking for you, but you don't know that's anxiety. Okay. So we all suffer from different, it's different, and it's not something that is easily visible a lot of times. Sometimes people, and especially men, we suffer in silence on purpose. We do it to ourselves because we're fucking idiots. That's just how we do it. We're idiots like that. We think that we can muster up all the strength in the world and put the world on our shoulders. Like I often look at dudes and see they see themselves as Atlas, the guy who carries the world on his shoulders. But really, you're being crushed. Even though you think you're being you're being crushed, and you don't even fucking know you are. You don't even know you are. And things are hurting you. That's what happened to me. I thought I was doing a good job at my business. I was shitting on myself, mentally. Is that exactly what I was doing? So you definitely have to be aware of what's going on with you emotionally, what's going on around you in your surroundings, and how they affect you mentally. So I do these check-ins. Like a simple, like I said, 2 minutes, something that tunes my emotions. And this is why this matters. Because like I said, it is like we all the time we ignore subtle emotional signs until we hit crisis, until the world is coming crashing to an end, and the gloves is off, and we willing to go fucking dive off the fucking ledge head first. So if I have this or create this daily awareness, I can catch all of these issues earlier. I can catch kind of like a preemptive strike on something that I know is coming, because it's coming, it's here, it's always going to be here. You know what I'm saying? But I can kind of jump out in front of it and say, I see you. And you don't, even though it does, I don't have to let it affect me. So some of the examples that you can, of these check-ins is you can do the scale of 1 to 10 method. Ask yourself, where am I emotionally today? Why? All kinds of, create yourself a list of things that you are going to do every morning to check out, am I sad, or, am I still feeling bad about something that I talked about with my, wife or girlfriend or whatever? Is that still affecting me or bothering me? How am I feeling? What's my outlook on today? Do I feel confident? So many things that you can put in this checklist, and you can make it as personal as you want to make it, because it really is about you. So for me, the thing that I use the most, this is another tool that I use. This is the biggest tool I use, is I write. And I write all the time. What's one thing what I'm feeling right now? I mean, things I can't articulate. Now that, I have a podcast, sometimes I can articulate these things, and I do articulate these things to my therapist, and sometimes I can't. And it's getting to the point where I'm starting to be able to articulate my feelings better, and that is a relief to me, because people are beginning to understand where I'm coming from, because I write how I feel, and then that way it becomes clear to me. And once it's clear to me, I have an easier time understanding it. I can lay it out there. I have a notebook. I have a notebook that I use, and it's called 1001 Writing Prompts. I write something every single day. It could be a comedy bit. It could be a social media sketch, random thoughts, recipes. It don't fucking matter. I write something every day. And because I've made that a priority, it takes me away from whatever depressive or a state of anxiety that I may have been in, because I've created this sense of urgency behind my need to chronicle things or write things, or even if I never do them. I have things that I've written that I probably never see the light of day, but I make it's important to me. It's important for me to write these things. And like I said, they can be my thoughts. It could be whatever it might be. I don't even care. It could be 1,711 letter words. I write something every day. So another thing that I use is a physical check-in. I check my body, do a physical scan. Got any neck tension? You know what I mean? How you feeling in your neck? Jaw tightness? Heart racing at all? You got some aches and pains? Listen, your body is probably the most important part, if not, it's up there with number 2, because it's your body, it's you. It's the most important part of your mental state and your mental health and well-being. This is an area where you can really treat yourself with some love, man. Create a personal environment, a place where you feel comfortable, a place where you feel confident. It's important. Create a personalized workout for yourself. Take time to treat yourself and your body good. A lot of us treat our cars and our material possessions better than we ever treat our own bodies. And that's the motherfucking truth. And that's such a shame. We should do better things for ourselves. Try eating better. Diet is also a major factor when it comes to like managing and maintaining your mental health and well-being. Plenty of studies have shown that what we eat can have a significant negative impact on our mental state. That ain't no bullshit. Take it seriously. It's your mental state it's who you are. And for a lot of men, it's the difference between being here and not being here. Okay? So you want to try and do this, the check-in. You want to try and do these check-ins roughly around the same time every day. I choose mine in the morning because it's easy. You know, I could lay there and scroll when I open my eyes, but instead, you know, I might scroll, but I do my check-in. You know what I mean? I do what's going on. Oh, ow, my back is hurting. What's going on with that? Okay, so that makes me get up and go stretch. Or that makes me get up and, you know, I've been getting a little bit of pudge lately. So my wife, she likes to get up and work out. And so I've been trying to, you know, figure out how I'm going to get up early like she does and go out there and work with her, you know, when she's out there working out, just to kind of make sure that the aches and pains don't persist. Go out there and stretch. Go out there and exert my body. Go out there and, you know, treat myself good. I don't got to lift a bunch of weight. I'm not trying to gain a bunch of mass. I just want to treat myself good. And that right there is positive for your mental health. So people have some questions about my check-ins. You know, how do I know they're working for me? And because they, you know, that's a real question, and I'm not gonna take that away from anybody. And I'm gonna break that down when I come back from this break. This is Deron Harris Podcast. I'll be right back.
The Podcast Playground. Hooray!
Now, back to the Deron Harris Podcast.
What's good, folks? Welcome back to the show. All right, so before I left, I was asked a question, and it's a legitimate question. How do I know if these daily check-ins are even working? How do you know that? How do you know? How can you prove or make any sense or see if there's any progress in you doing these check-ins? You can definitely notice what you're feeling, okay? Instead of just feeling off, you recognize I'm actually feeling anxious or I'm feeling sad today because you have greater emotional awareness. Okay, so you don't know. A lot of times we just don't know what the fuck is off, but we can now, because because I do these things, I have greater emotional awareness. I know that I'm sad, or I know that I'm fucking pissed and I don't want to talk to anybody today. You know, I know exactly what it is, and if I know what it is, I can try and get to the root cause of why am I feeling like this today, and I can pull it apart. And if I can pull it apart, I can put it back together. And it's that simple. And my wife will tell you all the time, I might wake up pissed off, and in 10 minutes I figure it out. You know, or, you know, whatever it may be. The thing I do have problem with, and I'm not gonna lie, the thing I do have problem with is sadness. I do have a lot of sadness. I feel a lot of grief, for a lot of people, for a lot of different reasons, and that's what I wrestle with the most. But I backtrack that grief and I try and figure out where it comes from. And what do? I write about it. Whatever it may be, whatever's bothering me that day, because it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's wrong with me that sends me into that state. It could be something that's wrong with one of my loved ones or some people around the world or a situation that's happening that I'm seeing unfold, like people losing their families, just being torn apart. That's got to be crippling mentally. And for me, I absorb that pain. My nature is to absorb that pain. You know, so for me, it's really important to have that emotional awareness so that I can know why I'm upset if I'm upset about, and it's okay to be upset, but it's not okay to sit there and live in that. You know what I'm saying? I see, patterns over time, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after doing check-ins. That's if you'll start seeing these patterns, and that's what it is. You recognize and tend to feel more tense on Mondays or some shit like that. So you can prepare for that. If you know Mondays, because fuck, I got to get up and go to work, and then maybe there's something at your job that triggers you, that you can start putting these puzzle pieces together and realizing that these things are affecting you because you have improved mood tracking. That's another thing that really kind of work, that you can tell how these things are working. You have fewer emotional surprises. You stop having days where emotions sneak up on you, because I have that shit too, where 1 minute I'm doing great and the next minute I want to jump off some shit. I'm dead ass serious. The check-ins, they help me, and you don't have to do them just in the morning. My main one is in the morning, but I do them throughout the day, because if I get into that state, I check in. Hey man, what's up? How you doing? You still all right? What about them aches and pains? You know what I'm saying? Keep checking in. It becomes a habit. The next thing you know, it becomes muscle memory, second nature, and you're always checking on yourself, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I can check on myself. I can make sure that myself is good. You sense all the shifts in your mood and in the way you feel. You sense that shit earlier. Something not feeling right, man. Something not feeling. That's you starting to realize that. So shit don't come out of nowhere, because that's what happens. It comes out of nowhere. Another thing that you can tell, that I can tell, is I have a healthier response to stress. Let's say it like that. Like when stressful moments like come up, I find, like, if I pause, I take 15 seconds. I take a deep breath and I reflect on what is happening instead of reacting to it right away. I've always had a problem with that, but now I've gotten to the point where, hey man, my father used to say something I always took for granted. He said 15 seconds. 15 seconds will change your life. And that's what it was. 15 seconds. Take 15 seconds. Process what the fuck is going on. All right. Hey. Am I about to choke this motherfucker? No, I'm not. Because I'm going to take 15 seconds and realize that it doesn't have to affect me like that. It doesn't have to get to me like that. You know what I'm saying? That is a sign of the habit becoming second nature for me. When I can sit back and go, ha, you can't get me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, you also have stronger mind and body connections. You might notice like some physical cues sooner, like your shoulders or your jaw or your headache. You got all these aches and pains happening, and you can take action on that. You can stretch. You can go for a walk before all that stress builds up. You know what I'm saying? So if I notice some shit, oh man, my neck is, I look back at what's going on, what's happening, D. What are we going through right now? Is it some doctor bill shit, or whatever it is? I can kind of make it out. I can kind of trace the outline of what's happening, and then I can fill in the rest of the picture. I'm saying as I realize and uncover more of these connections with my mind and my body. I'm starting to realize that all these things that happen to me mentally, that there is most definitely a connection physically. Let's see what else. A greater sense of control and calm. that's another thing. Now, this is a hard one for me because sometimes I jump right off into the motherfucking deep end. And I'm Captain Deep End. I swim around in that shit. I go to the bottom and come the fuck back up, and I swim around. I be backstroking in the deep end. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times the deep end gets you shit that you don't really ask for. You know, it does work out sometimes, but a lot of times it just gets you more headache than it's worth. It causes you to have more stress than is absolutely necessary. Because you've jumped off in the deep end. Now all of a sudden, all right, imagine again another visual for you. Imagine jumping off in the fucking deep end in the pool and not knowing how to fucking swim. That's a fucking problem because now you got to put up or shut the fuck up or something bad's gonna happen. Now you could in that moment you could have a fucking and start teaching yourself how to fucking swim. Or you can drown and die. But you can avoid that altogether. You can avoid that whole decision altogether by not flying off the deep end and just staying calm and in control of all your emotions. Over time, you feel a bit more grounded. I mean, even when shit around you is like chaotic as fuck, you feel grounded. You feel like you have a moment of control every single day. Every single day when you do these when you do the check-ins. And the check-ins are it's just the way that it works for me. You know, it can work for everybody, something different, some way different, but this is just the way that it works for me. So some other people have asked me, you know, what if I feel worse after my check-in? And that's a real ass question right there because sometimes I do. Sometimes I feel absolutely horrible after the check-ins and I learn a lesson. You know what I'm saying? So this is what might be going on and how I deal with it and what you can do about it. So what's happening is you are uncovering hidden emotions. When you do check-ins or when you do a check-in, you might bring up feelings you normally ignore. All these tough guys out here, you listen to him, Mr. fucking tough guy? All these feelings that you know, feelings of sadness, feelings of grief and frustration. How about this? A fucking spider in your mind and you have anxiety. You know what I'm saying? That heavy ass feeling. That heavy feeling. At first, you know, it's weird. But what that is because you're finally allowing those suppressed or those, you're allowing those feelings to exist, to surface. Instead of doing what we've always been conditioned to do, is like, oh no, you know, men don't cry. Yeah, we fucking do. If men didn't cry, we wouldn't have fucking tear ducts. Huh? Can I get an amen? We do. We cry. We grieve. If men didn't grieve, we wouldn't grieve. We wouldn't hurt. And we do. And the fucked up shit is we do a lot of the shit to ourselves. We do it to ourselves. You know what I'm saying? No quick relief. Okay? It's no quick relief. It's like stirring up dust. Okay? Before it settles. You're going to stir that dust and it's going to be shit everywhere. And you're going to feel that. But what happens to dust is dust settles. Early check-ins make you feel off. They really do. They make you feel corny. They make you question yourself. What the fuck am I doing? Simply because you're becoming more aware of stuff you previously probably suppressed or just numbed away, didn't give a fuck about. Now those feelings are open and they're starting to make connection, and that feels weird. And that's all right. Don't turn it off. You need those feelings. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. You need all those feelings. You know, you might join the Marines. Oh, you don't need those feelings. Yeah, you fucking need all of your fucking feelings. They need to be there. And it's so unfortunate now that so many people in the world, they turn so many feelings off. And that's why we have what we have today, because people ignore and suppress their feelings. Another reason is you might not have an outlet after you check in, and that's a problem. If all you do is notice the feelings but don't do anything to like soothe it or process it, like journaling or breathing or going for a walk or something like that, or calling somebody, you might feel stuck in that emotion. You might get stuck there if you're not trying to do nothing. Like I know if I'm saying, hey, listen, I call, like my wife is great. See, my wife is right here. And a lot of times, and that's why I tell you, I married well, y'all. I married well because my wife is hilarious and is very supportive and is able to, like I said, take me out of these states. But I need to do something about it. So, and you need to do something about it. So what you can do is, one, you keep check-ins short and you keep them structured. Do like I said in the beginning, you do like 3 or 5 minutes, or something like 3 minutes. Start with 3 minutes. Use a timer. You know what I'm saying? Don't just ramble, just use it, and then that way you get on with your day. You just do your quick, fast check-in. You keep going. You know what I'm saying? You ask yourself a few focused questions. That's all you really need. How do I feel physically? What do I do? What's going on emotionally with me? I mean, what do I need? Do I need a hug? Whatever it is, you do it quickly. You know what I'm saying? And that keeps you from spiraling too deep into that particular emotion. You know what I'm saying? Always have a grounded, like something to do after you check in. Like if you got to work out, or if you're whatever it is you want to do, you make beats, or you're a DJ, whatever. Make sure you have something. You got to walk your dog, or you got to get in the shower and get ready for work. Whatever it is, make sure that it's right after your check-in. So for me, after I do my check-in in the morning, I get up right away and I take my medication because I have to. I take my medication and then I sit down and I check my email and I get ready to prepare anything that I might be writing, anything. So that's what I do immediately afterwards. It's good to have like rituals you can do to like sit and meditate. That's another good thing. You can take deep breaths. You can listen to your favorite song. You could listen to like some comedy or something. You could watch some YouTube or whatever it is that'll change your state after you've given yourself that check-in, and provided that it doesn't, you're feeling a little strange after that check-in. Have something, almost like a chaser. If you're gonna do a shot, because it's like doing a shot. Make sure you have a chaser. Treat it like a muscle that you're training. In the beginning, muscles are, we don't want to do that shit because it hurts, and we're like, and it feels it. We feel fucked up afterwards, the lactic acid in your arms, but a little bit into it, all the lactic acid, it goes away. And you get more comfortable and you start noticing, the results. You start noticing you have muscles, or in this case, you start noticing those feelings. And you usually feel more relief than discomfort after you start, working into that routine. And another thing you can do is you can reach out if it is too heavy. And I do that on a like I said, on a regular basis. My wife is readily available. The producer of my show, my best friend, he is always, I'm call this motherfucker at 3 o'clock in the morning in another state. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I need him to come get me, he'll come get me. And it's just something that he has made a priority in his life. If your check-ins stir up really too much difficulty or emotions and you feel overwhelmed, or even if you feel unsafe, that right there, my friends, is a sign that you need to talk to a therapist, okay? And I'm not kidding. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be, and I got there. I broke, y'all. Like I said, I broke. I went to psychiatric facility. I've actually been to psychiatric facility 2 times. There was one time, the first time was funny because it was like 12 cops and they were trying to check on me. And I was in Queens, New York, and they were asking, "You all right, buddy?" I was like, "Nope, I was smoking a cigarette." And they waited politely until I was done smoking my cigarette, until they bum rushed me and put me in the back of an ambulance and not a police car. because there was something wrong. And thank goodness, those gentlemen, they recognized that, and it didn't turn out differently, if you know what I mean. A couple of them recognized that I wasn't well, man. I wasn't well, and they sprang into action. Literally, they tried to de-escalate, because it was a bunch of guns at first, and then it was no guns, and it just was a bunch of dudes. But they were all putting on their gloves and shit like that, because, I'm smoking my cigarette, and I got tears rolling down my face, and it was because I hadn't seen my kids, I didn't know where they were, and I was devastated. I was at probably the lowest point in my life, one of the lowest points anyway. Didn't know where my son was, and man. You all right, buddy? No, I'm not. All right, well, we're here to get you some help. I don't need any help. Yeah, we figured you might say that. But they let me finish, and they stuffed me in the back of this ambulance and held me down while they put a jacket on me, and they took me to the hospital. I spent a couple of days, called my dad. Dad came and saw me. And, yeah. But I was young. I didn't know what was happening. Just, I was breaking. I didn't know how to deal with those emotions. And it was rough, man. It was rough. So, it's one of those things where I guess and it shouldn't be this way. The older that you get, the more that you know. The information is out there, fellas. It's out there. The help is out there. It's all out there. Okay? Now, last thing I want to talk about is, can these daily habits help me recognize serious mental health signs sooner? And the short answer to that question is absolutely, because you develop a personal baseline, so to speak. When you check in regularly, you get a clear sense of what your normal is. That way, when something feels off or bad on a few of these bad days or weeks, like you fall into a deep sadness or you have anxiety that is off the charts, that doesn't ease or go away, your irritability, and you can't shake that shit, you'll have like a baseline where you could kind of recognize what's going on. You'll know where your normal is, and you'll start feeling when you're not normal. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really serious. Early warning signs become super obvious. Daily habits you start picking up, you'll spot small changes before they start growing into like these big ass problems. So it does, man. It really does, man. Doing these check-ins, absolutely, they help you. They help you grow. Most importantly for me, and I know for a lot of these fucking dudes out here, man, that it helps you break the I'm fine autopilot response, just like the auto response that we have. You all right? Yeah, I'm fine. We accuse women of having that same I'm fine. It's the same thing with us. You all right, man? I'm good, man. I'm all right. But you ain't, though. Like a lot of times we'll push through something that's super uncomfortable, a lot of discomfort, and we do that shit on autopilot. We just, anyway, all right, this is just the way it's supposed to fucking go. Daily check-ins, like you get scheduled permission, I mean to say, to slip, to slip out and be like, I'm not doing this. I'm not okay today. You get to slip out. That's what it is. It gives you that permission. That small pause can make the difference between like ignoring like serious signs and recognizing that you actually need some help. All right, fellas? So, and lastly, well, I got two more points. It encourages actions at the right time. If you see that your baseline is shifting, like you start feeling like hopeless on most days, or you're withdrawn altogether from society or whatever. You start losing interest in things that you love. Like I was a comedian. I just stopped doing that shit. And now I'm getting back into it. This right here, it could mean reaching out to a therapist might not be such a bad idea. Call a friend, man. Don't sit there and go through it and sulk through it. Some men don't make it out. You know what I'm saying? And my last point I want to make is it empowers you to advocate for yourself. Okay? When you recognize all of these signs early, when you start recognizing shit early, you can describe them clearly to your doctor. Like me, I tell my therapist every damn thing. Like bam, psh, and because I can feel it. And sometimes even, even in the sessions or even when I go in the office, I'm a lot of things I'm working out in real time as I'm sitting there talking to her. I guess because it's her job to know which, questions to ask me. But from now, instead of saying I feel bad, I'll be able to say I've been feeling more sad every day, for this morning for about 3 weeks now. It's been bothering me, and this is blah, 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 blah. I get 4 hours of sleep, and et cetera, et cetera. I've been avoiding people. I get to say whatever it is. This kind of self-awareness, though, speeds up an accurate support and treatment response. You know what I'm saying? People come when they know, when you know. And that's how you get to know. So, yeah, y'all. So, think about it. This is the end of Men's Mental Health Month. But it doesn't have to be the end of men's mental health care. Okay? And I stand 10 toes down on that. And I'll say the same thing I say about therapy every time. I think everybody needs it. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you any less of a person to sit there and talk to somebody, especially somebody who's trained, man. Especially somebody who's trained, somebody who can actually tell you some shit about your shit instead of you sitting there guessing like a dumbass because you're a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? We are. We have to admit that. We have to start admitting that. We are not professionals of the brain. You might be a really good fucking mason. You might be a wonderful investment banker, but you're not a fucking psychiatrist unless you're a fucking psychiatrist. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Deron Harris Podcast, y'all. Listen, happy Men's Mental Health Month, y'all. And like I said, it doesn't have to be the end. You can keep it going. Keep it going. And in the conversation either, man, you guys can DM me and leave me some things that you guys might do to help you cope with your mental state and any kind of listener letters. I would love to hear how you guys cope, man, because this episode was about how I cope, how I get through these things, and hopefully some of these tools, or this toolkit, or this utility belt, as I call it, you can use some of these things in it, man, because they work. They definitely work. They worked for me. I mean, like 3 years ago, I cried every day. 3 years, I was crying every day. I mean, I could not stop it. And now I don't feel like I need to cry at all. And I feel good about that. So I want to thank my parents for giving me the mouthpiece to say what's on my mind, man, to get it off my chest. I'm not afraid. I will get this shit off my chest. I want to thank my wife for listening and not for nothing being the best nurturer that I could ever hope for. I want to thank my best friend for being that one-man support system that's always been a solid constant in my life. When things have gone awry, things have come and gone, this person has remained the constant. And I want to thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank Gentry Thomas for giving me the platform to talk my shit, y'all, because I think some of the shit that I talk about might be boring, but I think some of the things I talk about might actually help people, and that's what I'm here doing this for. I mean, and it's okay, I know there's probably nobody listening right now, but if you are, thanks. I do appreciate you, because maybe I helped, maybe it helped, and that's the whole reason I do this podcast. And lastly, I want to, but definitely not least, probably first and foremost, but I like to save it for last because I want it to be me telling you guys thank you to be the last thing you hear when you listen to my podcasts. And thank you for listening, for supporting me, for whatever it's worth, man. I really, really do appreciate it, because it helps with my mental state to sit here and talk about things, to get it off my chest, to clear the slate, so to speak, to say, you can't hold me down, or I can talk my way out of this bad situation. This podcast definitely helps me. I've been doing this podcast. This is, I think, 167 or 168. I don't know which episode it is, but I do this podcast every single week because I've made it a priority. I don't make anything from it, and it's my pleasure to do it. I absolutely love it, and I love that people listen, and I appreciate you, and thank you very much. So until next week, y'all, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week mental health wise, and I'll see you guys next time. Next week. Yeah, next week, right? Yeah, next week. I'm Deron Harris. Thank you for joining me. Have a good one. Peace.
You've been listening to the Deron Harris Podcast. Subscribe to the show, give a good rating, and everything you need to know is at DeronHarris.com.